morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to each one of you. As we know that we are in today's session, we are in Fudtekey Sherpa. We have Mr. Ashish with us to share and speak on his topic. So I'll introduce his profile and the topic that he's going to share. But before that, I just wanted to take a moment to brief what is AFSTI and what do we do here. So AFSTI is Association of Food Scientists and Technologists of India. It is the one of the largest industry association who is in the space of academics and professionals. That's where the role of AFSTI comes into picture, wherein it has got 40 plus chapters spread across all over India, and Mumbai being the second oldest one chapter amongst all these 40 chapters that we have. Now, AFSTI has a lot many things to do, and it mainly works with its prime objective to advance the knowledge in area of food science and technology, with aim of promoting the rational and economic development of industry who works in the food fraternity. It is also holding lot many symposia, conferences at national and international level. Again, covering various aspects of food science and technology in those knowledge sharing sessions. It has been its efforts to promote the development of food industry to excel in food research and development. The headquarter of this AFSTI is based out of Mysuru, and that's where the entire association is getting driven from that office. And as I said, there are 40 chapters spread across all over India. Each unit is very active in its own space and conducting lot many activities. Couple of stakeholders with AFSTI, who are associated, and they have got couple of things to do. Those are like mentioned and projected here on this screen. So we connect with regulators, academia, students, and industry association in advancing lot many policy shaping activities, some external engagement activities, capability development programs. So there are various things that AFSTI caters into. And that's where we encourage all our students, all new participants to be a member of AFSTI. We are in lot many benefits, which are, a couple of them, they are highlighted here, but it's not limited to these many areas. There are lot many things that we can do. Networking, learning, mentorship, professional development, the knowledge on how startup should be. And that's where we have our today's session where Mr. Ashish is going to speak. So we have got a lot many things where AFSTI can really be beneficial to each one of you. And that's where we encourage to be a part of AFSTI and come forward and join hands with us. These are a couple of other initiatives which AFSTI runs. If cost like mega events, wherein the stakeholders that I just mentioned on previous slide, those also come together, and we take a step forward in advancing the science of food and technology. Now, we also would like to take this opportunity to thank Chamber for Advancement of Small and Medium Business, because they are also partnering for this Fudtekey Sherpa series. And the prime objectives of Chamber is mainly running Fudtekey Pathshala. They are also having their quarterly magazine named as Purna Brahma. So they are mainly into organizing various activities, which also takes care of like conducting some study tours for professionals and students. And also CSMB works very closely with its stakeholders for advancement of micro, small, and medium businesses to make them more resilient and making them enable to bring the innovative products in the market. So that's where the role of Chamber comes into picture. We have Mr. Nilesh Lele from Chamber joining us today, and this is the opportunity that we really want to bring to your notice, that 30th ICFOST is going to happen in Mumbai at DY Patil, Nehru, from 19th to 21st of December. wherein again you will get very much exposure and opportunity to be a part of and witness the mega event in the space of food technology. We also request you to come forward, register yourself and be part of this event. There are 3-4 days which will be utilized in establishing our network and also advancing the science of food technology. So there are lot many things. The registration is open and you can very well register yourself on this website. With this, I will now move to the introduction of our speaker. So, welcome, Mr. Ashish. Ashish is joining us as a food innovation expert. He is co-founder and CEO at Fudtekey Solutions and coming with an experience of over 15 years. He's an expert in food product design, food innovation, and uh, and he is, as I mentioned, co-founder and CEO of Fudtekey Solutions, a company that specializes in food and beverage consulting with a focus on developing innovative and market-ready products. With over a decade of experience in intellectual property law, Ashish transitioned from a successful career as a patent attorney, having held position at prominent companies such as Novartis and Sandoz. He brings his unique expertise in food technology and IP law to help clients in the nutraceutical and food industry turn their ideas into successful products. Ashish holds a wealth of experience from various roles, including working at Dr. Reddy's Laboratories and serving as an IP associate and patent agent there. He has also been associated with the Global Institute of Intellectual Property, where he gained a strong foundation in IP law. His leadership at Fudtekey Solutions is focused on assisting companies in food and beverage sectors to create innovative market-driven solutions. In addition to his business activities, he is actively involved in mentoring startups and serves as a member of the Innovation Council at ICT Mumbai. So, this is the brief profile, Ashish, and I'm pretty sure that your talk is going to benefit a lot many who are there, with us joining this webinar. So over to you, and we really look forward towards your insightful, session on getting the knowledge on how innovatively we can be successful when any startup is going to be established. So over to you. I'll stop sharing my screen, and you can share your screen from your end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav, for a very kind and elaborate introduction. So I'll start with sharing my screen.
Yeah, it's up. We can see it. Thank you.
See it? Okay. So hello, everyone. As Dr. Gaurav has already introduced, so I will not spend much time on my introduction. I'll straight away jump into the topic. First of all, innovation is a topic very close to my heart, and all my career of about 20 years or 2 decades, I've been dealing with innovations in various capacities in food as well as pharma. And being a patent attorney, you deal with innovation day in and day out. So why this topic? Before we go into the slides and all, why this topic? Because what differentiates a successful company or a startup from the not so successful companies and startup is how that particular a founder or how that particular organization approaches the innovation. So and innovation is innovation is one of the first and foremost factor that determines the success of any company. We'll see how and why this is important as we go along. So before I start, this is the disclaimer that this is because I'll be taking name of many companies, showing you many innovative products and all. And since I am also a professional who's dealing with food innovation for the food industry in India and abroad, so this disclaimer I would like to place here is that this slide is purely and purely for academic purpose, and there's no other objective behind this slide, this entire deck. So this is the overall agenda for today. So as we go on, we would first well into understanding the innovation, because everywhere everyone talks about innovation. No matter, even if you are, for example, in finance or banking or engineering or food or pharma, each and every sector, each and every function of organization wants to innovate. Innovation is a buzzword. If you go, for example, on social medias, on LinkedIn, and search for hashtag innovation, you will see millions of followers following these hashtags. So why it is such a buzzword, why innovation is required, and what it actually means. So the first piece of the presentation will deal with understanding innovation in detail. Then we will understand why it is a key to success, and then obviously once you know what innovation is, but then we will well into how do we actually do practically, how innovation is done, what it takes, what are the challenges in doing innovations, and then one case study which is very interesting, and then finally we'll conclude with the key takeaways. So to start with, when we if we, this is something from the dictionary. When you Google the word innovate, so as you all can read, innovation is to innovate means to make changes in something which is already established. Especially this kind of change is introduced by introducing new methods, ideas, or products. In other words, it is a new way of doing a old thing, or maybe a kind of like a novel way of doing something which is differently, and that difference has to add some value. It's not just kind of like for sake of difference we do anything and that then we call it innovation. So if we break this down into this definition of innovation, we break down, as you can see, it is the first and foremost thing is that it has to be different. Okay, and it has to be done in a way which is not done before. Whether it and it is all encompassing. It is kind of like applicable to the methods, it is applicable to ideas, it is applicable to products, it is applicable to company business processes, business models, each and everything. Whatever you do, there's always possibility for you to do it in a different way and in a better way. Rather than different, let us say in a better way, in a novel way. That is what is innovation. Now innovation has kind of like uh, you can if in the framework of innovation there are certain key elements of innovation when you innovate. For example, I'm sure like each and everyone in the audience, they definitely know this company ID Fresh. And why so? Obviously because of the good products, but in the backdrop of those product stands the innovation. So and because of that, these products stand out in the market, and that's why there's a very strong brand recall, and each and every one of you must have seen this product, and even if you have seen this once or twice, you will remember these products. This the deep cause of this, obviously there's a marketing, there's this thing, but at the end of day, the products themselves have a lot of innovations hidden in them. If we talk about specifically ID, for example, it's not just the batter, it's kind of like, or the vada batter packaging, or the coffee packaging. It's also the way they distribute it, the way kind of like the supply chain is formed, the way the formulations are formed, the way their products perform. Okay, so from that perspective, there are different layers to the innovation, and also innovation has different elements. So one of the key element of innovation, or from where the innovation starts, the origin is in identifying the problem. So as we go through these different elements of innovation, you can try imagining uh, any of the product that is close to your heart, or maybe any of the brand that you know, or if you are an entrepreneur, you try and associate your own brand or your own project. If you are a student, if or if you kind of have some brand in mind, try to associate this each and every point of this slide to the product you have in mind. For example, here I have put ID. So if we, the first element, the first and foremost from where innovation starts, and as they say is like the necessity is mother of invention. So similarly, problem is the problem or need that is the mother of innovation. So innovation starts from identifying a particular problem. So if we again connect it to the product in question here, or the product on the slide ID, then everyone knows, like, making the idli batter at home is a tedious task. If you buy it from the kind of like unorganized sector, then hygiene and all those things are concerned. Again, these local vendors or the unorganized market, they are very scattered and available in certain areas only. So how did ID address that problem? They solve the problem. We come to the second element of innovation, which is problem solving. They solve this problem by having a kind of like hub and spoke arrangement. So for every region, they have kind of like a for all major regions, they have kind of like a manufacturing unit, and then they have a very strong network or a very strong cold chain distribution of their own. In doing so, they also eliminated the distribution, which comes to the business model innovation. And by doing so, they solved the problem. Now, if you go to major households, at least in the metros or prominent cities in India, people are not doing the means the housewives, they are not soaking the rice and dal for overnight and then doing the batter, then kind of like passing it through the machine and all those. Most of them simply have now the convenience of buying such kind of ready batters, and kind of like reduce their efforts. And so that's how innovation plays a role in here. The innovation has solved a problem and given the housewives the convenience of making the idli. Now, creativity is another aspect of any innovation. Or It's like you have to really, by creativity, meaning that you have to think out of the box. Okay, conventional thinking or traditional thinking may not be enough. You have to think out of the box. So earlier, for example, in this case, they have if you go to the vada batter thing. So vada is, and you must have heard this many a times, even there are a lot of YouTube reels and Instagram reels on this innovation. So it's very difficult to make a vada, especially the medu vada, which has a hole in the center. So here they have really went out of the box and have been very creative in designing something which it reduces your efforts, or which makes vada making a child's play. So that is what I call creativity, when which is another very important element of innovation. So you have to really think out of the box, and you have to think in a structured way. You have to just blue sky thinking is not enough. So to be creative, you have to use tools like design thinking. You have to empathize, like what are the consumer problems and how you can solve it. And the methods that you design, or the products that you design, or the processes that you for those problems, they have to be practical, they have to be viable as well. So they not only imagined this thing, but they made it a kind of like a real product. They make a real product out of it, and it was again accepted by market. So this is how creativity plays an important role in innovation. And then you have, once you have the creative thinking, you have identified the problem, you have solution, you have creative ways of solving this, then what you need for the innovation to sustain and grow is actually the vision. What is the vision behind innovation? And then to implement those vision, or to attain that vision, you have to have a strategy. So strategy could be how you're going to scale up the innovation, how you're going to leverage the innovation, how you're going to implement it in the real life setting, in the marketplace, in the factory setup. Okay, and then for to do so, we come to the another element of innovation, which is collaboration. So innovation these days, specifically the current era of startups or entrepreneurship or food industry, collaboration is another buzzword, which I guess after innovation, if you search it on social media, there's another buzzword. And this is the time where in people or the companies and startups, they do not believe in competition, rather they collaborate with each other, and they help the entire sector grow, they help the food industry grow, they help the nation grow, to help the startup ecosystem growth. So competition is no more kind of like taboo these days. So collaboration is the next trend and next big thing, and it is very much important for innovation, for a simple reason, because when you are doing innovation, you are doing something new. It is a road less traveled. You do not know what's going to be right, what's going to be wrong, what are the challenges. Obviously you have some visibility into the possible challenges, uh, but you do not have the kind of like whole visibility into the challenges. And then implementing innovation, it needs multiple skill sets, multiple capabilities. Like here, if we see at this what a better thing, it needs a design expertise, it needs a packaging experience, it needs a food scientist for the formulation, it needs kind of like manufacturing expertise to scale this. So the not necessarily all the expertise or skill sets are available when you are innovating something. So few skill sets you have within the organization or team or as an individual, but at the same time there are certain competencies and skills those are missing. So for successful innovation, you need to collaborate, you need to kind of like uh, collaborate with the for the skills, either you delegate it outside or you hire somebody or you form a association or something. But for the skills which or competencies that are missing in your team, that are missing in yourself, you have to find somebody who has those complementing skills, and then you collaborate with them and implement the innovation successfully. So then coming to the other most important element is that, and this is from the commercial perspective, like it has to have a customer focus. You can innovate each and everything, but there has to be a buyer for it, there has to be a real problem that your innovation is solving. Then only can this be commercialized, and then only it can be a market success, then only it will help people solve their problems. So like in this case, the vada batter, there's a real problem exists. So the company ID, they focused on consumers problem of the kind of like difficulty in making the medu vada, right? So and now, since it was the starting point of this innovation was the consumer problem or the problem identification, and the focus was to help the consumer, this has become a success. Had it been something where no one needs, probably if there's certain innovations, so innovations which are kind of like not scalable, which do not focus on the consumer focus, they are many a times the kind of like what we call in India as chota mota jugaad jo hota hai, like, and then they don't scale. That's the difference between jugaad and innovation. So if it is not very much consumer focused or on the focused on the need or the problem of the market, then probably the innovations, they are limited to what we call as the local or very regional jugaads. Okay, and then obviously as you are doing innovation which is something new, the one with whatever you do which is new and unseen, there comes the thing called risk. So risk management again becomes a very important element. Risk is an inherent element with any innovation, because when you are innovating, you are putting in time, you are putting in efforts, you are putting in money, you are putting in resources in this particular innovation or in particular projects, and without any guarantee of success, because it is a new thing. Unless and until you try it, you are not going to know whether it's going to be adapted by the market, or whether it's going to be successful or a failure or waste of time or waste of energy. So that risk is always there. Now for you to kind of like it's not wise to kind of like put in all your efforts or all your eggs in one basket without assessing the risk in assessing the risk that is involved in innovation. So when you while you are innovating for your company or this thing, you should always have a kind of like fair idea of fair idea of this thing, um, the risk involved in the innovation. Okay, and then there's certain tools. So if you are to do this thing, the innovation, you have to adapt certain time tested tools. You can invent your own tools as well. As for example, design thinking is one such tool, wherein there's a set kind of a structure, because innovation is something. For example, if you are ideating about solving a problem, you can go into blue sky thinking. That is, there are no limits on what you are thinking, how you are doing, so there's no limitation to it. But if and that may or may not lead anywhere. It's kind of like a very wild thinking. You can think of hundreds of possible solutions, but for you to evaluate those possible solutions or those possible innovations, you need to have certain framework. You need to do the thinking in a structured manner, in a kind of like in a defined framework. So when I say tools for innovation, so design thinking is one such tool. Okay, which is used for by most of the world, or maybe all major companies, for for innovation. And once you have kind of like the tools, and then you need to kind of like, you have a concrete idea that you so thought of, what is required is kind of like research and development. For example, in case of a product, you will need product development. In a kind of technology innovation, you'll need a lot of R&D, research as well as development. And then once you have this thing, then you have what is called as product prototype or process prototype, or you have the proof of concept. Then the most important elements of innovation, the last three elements of innovations, are implementation. So it could be like, by implementation I mean the concept. You have defined the problem, you defined the solution, you have a concept how this particular problem could be solved, how this particular need could be kind of like filled in an innovative and new way, or in a kind of like novel way. Now the thing is, this what you have defined is theoretical. The actual or the practical implementation of it has to be also kind of like uh, tested, and that implementation again defines the success or failure of the product or the innovation. And obviously commercialization and scaling up is another piece of innovation. And as I earlier said, that innovation which cannot be implemented at scale, or which is kind of like not required by the market, or which is not solving a specific problem, or which cannot be commercialized, in short, is basically a jugaad. It's not an innovation. Okay, so that's the basic difference between jugaad and innovation. Now, these are the elements, but another thing that is more important to innovation is the continuous improvement. So if we identify, so for example, again coming to the vada batter example, so this may not be the full and final solution. There could be much better ways of doing things, in even better than what we see on our screen. So or probably whatever we have designed, or whatever ID has designed here, probably there are some drawbacks which you will come to know, or which customers should come to know after trying the product. And there's a feedback loop always with your whatever you do, the project or the product or marketing. And you have to always keep your eyes and ears open for the feedback, whatever feedback comes, because innovation is a never ending process. It doesn't, and that's the important element of innovation, which I say is continuous improvements. So this feedback that comes from the consumer, or the end users, or the market, or your friends and family, this basically has to be continuously uh, rectified. If it is a constructive feedback, you have to work on it, you have to rectify it. Yeah. Then coming back to the importance of innovation, why is it important? So what you see on the screen are a few examples of innovation in India. So first and foremost, what innovation gives you, we've seen the definition of innovation. So in short, or in a very simple way, innovation is doing the old thing in a new way, basically. Okay. So since you are doing it in a new way, it makes it more interesting. It makes it stand out. And that's the one of the major reason why all the companies, or why innovation is a buzzword. It helps you differentiate from the competition. It helps you make your own identity, build your brand identity. Secondly, innovation is important because it helps you solve the problems. Obviously, the existing methods of addressing certain things, all of them, without exceptions, I think each and everything, no matter how best we are doing it, it it will improve in the future. Why? Because there are inherent problems solved. They need to be solved. Okay. And innovation is, that's why innovation is very important for solving the problems that we have today in the society, that we have in the industry, that we have in the businesses, that we face as a consumers, that we face as entrepreneurs. All these problems, unless and until you have innovative mindset, these problems, and only the people with innovation mindset have been kind of like able to solve the problems. And then as you know, like in specifically in food, you have seen we are transitioning from the conventional uh, uh, packaged food products to the new age food products. So, and the new age food products, every year, every couple of years, or every decade, the consumer preferences are changing. So these days, like the audience has become very much focused on nutritional products, or products which do not have anti-nutrients, products which are, for example, good for gut, which are high in protein, which are high in fiber. Okay, so all these kind of consumer preferences which are evolving, they need innovation to be addressed, or innovation only can help you to address this ever evolving consumer preferences. This and when innovation is related to a business model or a process, it not just help you solve the problems, it also helps you improve the efficiency. Okay. It also kind of like helps you avoid competition or have your own moat. For example, let's say UST or Tetra Pak, for a good enough time or maybe decades, Tetra Pak had a process innovation which kind of like was difficult to copy. So they had a monopoly for a fair enough time, maybe for decades. And now, last maybe a couple of decades or so, the other companies have been able to kind of like mimic their technologies and come into picture. But for the technology, it was also kind of like protected, had IP protection and all, and they that give them a moat. So for students, moat is something which is kind of like a wall around a fort. So it doesn't allows your competition to come into your area, or keeps the competition at bay. So for avoiding the competition also, innovation plays a very important role. Because if you are continuously improving, then it becomes kind of like and if you develop that competency in within your team or your organization, then it makes very difficult for your competition to cope up with you, to match up with your continuous kind of like hot pipeline. And innovation, as I said, like ID Better or Paper Boat or Raw Pressery, all these brands have very strong identity because of the innovative products, the way innovation in marketing and everything that they do. And innovation always doesn't have to be costly. You can see one picture on my slide, which is of the mobile movie. This is a 20 rupees product. It's kind of like the suka bell that we eat in Mumbai, or the jhalmuri that is they're popular in the eastern India. So this has been packaged in a paper kind of a roll or cone, and a very authentic product from this thing. So now, like once you have seen this, even after this presentation, you would quickly recall, yes, there was a product which was in a paper cone kind of a packaging, newspaper cone kind of a packaging and all. So this is what innovation helps in creating the brand identity. And obviously, since innovation kind of like keeps the competition at bay, it improves efficacy, it helps you address the consumer preferences, it solves the problems persisted in the market, helps you differentiate. This all together creates the value for individuals, it creates the value for companies, it creates the value for organizations, startups. Okay. And then so generally the perception what I find in India is like, whenever we talk about innovation, we talk just about product innovation. So I myself am a product person, like I very much love product innovation, and that is also what I've been doing most of my career. But innovation goes much beyond product. Innovation could be kind of like apart from product innovation, you have a lot of examples. For example, pulse if you have seen, so there was a burst of masala at the core of this hard boiled candy, and it became popular, kind of like you can say overnight success kind of a thing. Within the 3 months of it launch, it kind of like tapped a market of more than 350 crores. Today it is, if I'm not wrong, but approximately I think this 1 rupee candy market, only the pulse candy revenues must be more than 1200 crores. So why? Because the product was totally different. It was very innovative product, like you are having a candy and no one has ever imagined that within a candy you can have a kind of like chatpata or masalika burst. And it become a say kind of like very viral, although social media was not that popular those days, but still it become very much viral, and kind of like had tested a very different success. So that's how innovation, this is a very typical example of product innovation. Apart from that, in specifically like, and I'm trying to limit my thoughts and my words to the food industry because I work across industries, but here I'm trying to limit my examples, my case studies, or all the talk to food industry. uh, Process innovation is another one. Like you've seen raw pressery, again they tested a very great success because they had kind of like the HPP, high pressure homogenization and pasteurizer technology that they brought it into India, wherein they were the first company to serve the cold pressed juice with certain shelf life. And at the same time avoid the preservatives, avoid the stabilizers and all kind of like the ingredients that today's consumer doesn't want. And it was 100% pure natural product. And that is the example of process innovation. So then there are technology innovations. So for example, if you this thing if you, I don't know how many of you have seen this Tata Q breakfast kits. So these are again kind of like one of its kind technology called as MAT technology that is used by Tata for shelf life and preservation. It's a microwave assisted thermal sterilization. And uh, this again is kind of like, it is retaining your nutrients. It is not letting it too much of a thermal exposure by and then kind of like destroying the nutrients. And this again has its own niche, or in its it has crafted its own market for Tata. Okay. Then there are packaging innovations. So packaging innovations, like I don't know how many of you have seen, and this type of, or this classification of innovation that I'm sharing here, this is typically based on the food industry examples. So packaging innovation, I know many of you must have seen. There's a this thing, the honey kind of like we comes into a single serve sachet, which if you bend it from both the ends, then this film that is there, this film, this breaks down. There's a tear over there, and then you can drop the honey without kind of like dirtying your hands. So is kind of like totally clumsiness free and a single serve, when like you do we squeeze the lemon. So when we squeeze the lemon, our hands they get dirty. Here if we squeeze the this thing, only the honey would come out, and there will be no clumsiness. So this is the example of packaging innovation. Another type of innovation which is very important, and which very large companies, and which generally creates the categories or industries in itself, is the business model innovation. So one very day-to-day example for this is the Swiggy's or Zomato's. Another is the D2C companies like Licious, or which kind of like, or ID for that matter, was for a good time a D2C brand, a D2G channel also. So that is something which is a business model innovation, and this is one of the very kind of like strong and fundamental type of innovation, which generally creates categories and kind of like industry in itself. So D2C, as you know, is kind of like an industry in itself. So that's a different business model as compared to the conventional business model, which needs brick and mortar stores, the modern trade, and the this thing general trade, and then you have super stockist distributors. So D2C have eliminated that everything, the entire middleman chain from farmer to, or from the producer to the consumer. There are marketing innovations also, like for example, Lays had a kind of like campaign wherein their tagline or their whole campaign was on one line, that no one can eat just one. And I think there was a jingle also around that particular line. So and why this? Because they made you realize in a very innovative way that you cannot stop while eating the chips, and then it increases the consumption. That's a very clever and smart marketing. Also, like innovation has to have is also like the innovation in supply chain and logistic is also a very important innovation in food industry. For example, like in case of ID, the fermentation of the batter that happens, it happens during the transfer of the batter. So that kind of like helps them to have minimal space for incubation. So it's very clever thinking, and then it goes to the cold storage. So during the storage itself, during the transport itself, so the incubation happens, and this is a very clever and great example of innovation in logistics and supply chain. So these are certain types of innovations that we see in food industry. And then how do we actually do innovation? So this is in general the flow of how you innovate. So it starts from a concept. The concept has its origin in identifying the problem. You identify a certain problem, you kind of like do ideation, you use certain innovation tools to identify how this problem could be solved. You kind of like characterize the problem, you uh, visualize the solutions, you do blue sky thinking, you use kind of like uh, the ways to identify solve the problems, and then you design the kind of like solution. That design is in what we call in food industry as food innovation and product design. So this specifically I'm limiting to product because it is easy to understand the entire process flow if we define it in terms of products, as compared to if I describe this process in terms of process or business model or logistics. So we design the solution, and what comes out of this is the product blueprint. Then you go to the wet labs, you develop the prototypes, you kind of like fine tune the prototypes through evaluation, sensory evaluation, and technical evaluation. You do the iterations till the time we have kind of like a satisfaction, that a satisfactory prototype or proof of concept is there. And then you go to scale up to implement this innovation in the real life situation, where you do kind of like prototyping, you do pilot runs, where you do large scale feedback loops. You form, you take feedback from the consumers, friends, families, and then you finally implement it in the factory setup. So there are certain challenges that are very inherent to innovation, and these are kind of like, if you the most important, based on my experience and my kind of like the projects that we have worked on, or the clients that we have worked on in my career as an entrepreneur, as well as when I was with when I was IP attorney. What we see, one of the most important problem and why companies fail in innovation is the starting point. If you're not able to define a problem very specifically, or if you define a problem in a wrong way, then probably you are going to find a solution which is not right, or which is not required. Okay. So defining a problem is a very critical challenge in the this thing, and I would suggest that you should dedicate as much time to this particular challenge as much possible. So it's, as they say, like, you spend more time in planning as compared to implementation. That is always better to anticipate the challenges of future and design your implementation strategy accordingly. So if you identify a problem right, you definitely going to have a right solution. Funding the innovation, because innovation is a very kind of like a white elephant. It needs a lot of efforts, energy, resources, a lot of failures. The cost of failures also comes into the innovation, when you are innovating. So you might not be right at the first time, but you have to try multiple ways. You have to, like, for example, in pharma industry, when we are in drug discovery, when we are trying to when we develop new drugs, so out of millions of prospective molecules, or targets, or candidates, what we say, only one or two make it to the market. Some fail at the proof of concept, some fail at the first stage clinical trials, some at the later stages, and hardly one molecule of the millions that reaches to the this thing. So, and to fund this, you need this is an extreme example. Like, pharma innovation funding is kind of like a huge is very humongous in a way. But for food also, like, when you are innovating something, there's a cost of failure, there's a cost of uh, experiments, there's the cost of kind of like implementing it, to trying it out, because you have to try multiple things, and not all the things that you are trying are going to success. So fund is another challenge, where you have to be very so when you are starting up, when you are kind of like trying to innovate, you have to have a very optimum, at least I wouldn't say maximum, but at least the optimum budget or arrangement for funds when you are innovating. Then right set of skills in terms of a right team is another this thing. You should be, if you define the problem right, you will kind of like identify the right team. But if you kind of like do not if you do some mistake in identifying the problem, probably you'll put on wrong skill set on your team. So right team is also a very difficult, or one of the most challenge in many projects that I have seen in my career. Another is, like, once you have innovated, once you have innovative product or process or business model, something, the most difficult thing is how you're going to leverage it, how you are going to leverage it. So that is another thing where you need the business acumen, where you need a lot of collaboration, you need network, where you need a lot of guidance. No matter how big or small company you are, you have to find the optimum way to leverage your innovation, without which the innovation cannot reach to the masses. And then it is kind of like, even if is of no use if you cannot leverage the innovation and make it reach to the masses, make it reach to the maximum number of consumers. Okay. Then scaling up, obviously scaling up is the most important challenge, because it is something new. You do not have the set systems, the set resources, there's kind of like many a times you have to kind of like design your own way of scaling up the innovation, and it's just very costly, time consuming, energy consuming. So I think this is one very kind of like as a example or a case study. I would this is something I had to means I happened to buy when I was in Dubai last year. So this is the product basically, and this is just a very I found this one of the most innovative products so far I have come in last few days. It's a very smart thinking. This is a self-heating chai. So what happens is, as you can see on the this thing, this is a first innovation is like this is a two-way can. So I don't think how many of you have seen the can, which is kind of like has the opening on both the ends. So what you do is kind of like this at the base of it, there's a self-heating system here. So you kind of like pull it, open it from here. There's a blue button inside, or this blue cabin inside where you this arrow is there, self-fitting system. You push it, and then you keep it like this for 3 minutes, and there's an exothermic reaction here in this chamber, and the chai inside this it hits automatically. And then you open this up and you have your uh, kind of like the self heated. This doesn't needs any microwave, doesn't needs a cooker, heater, nothing, no heating mechanism. It has a self heating mechanism. So I found this as a very interesting example and thought of sharing with you all as a kind of like case study. Very inspiring innovation, in fact. And this whatever the elements of innovation we have seen in the first slide, it covers all of them. So now I give this the company's name. You can google for this, the 42 degrees company. Those who are students really study it. There's a really great example of innovation, and I think that probably must be the last slide for me. And I'll end up with the key takeaways. So key takeaways we have discussed already, and I think we are also running short of time. So I will quickly wind up. Like, innovation in food industry is not just product innovation or process innovation. It is multi-dimensional. It covers products as well as process, marketing, packaging, supply chain, business models, everything. And each type of innovation is important. Rather, innovation has to be on the multiple layers. It has to be on the on the product front, on the process front, in the business model. If it is a multi-pronged innovation, it's definitely going to solve good problems and probably address the environmental and social concerns. And by embracing the combination of innovations, what we the food startups, they can create a sustainable, scalable, and impactful businesses. And at the same time, as they are scaling up, they can keep the competition at bay. They can create their own moat. They can create their own differentiation, and they can create their own IP. They can create the value for themselves as well as the organization. Okay, with that, I would like to end my kind of like talk. And if you have if you want to reach out to me, please feel free for any questions, suggestions, support in your innovation journey. If there's startups or if there's students, if you need any help on the innovation piece, I'm always excited to work on the innovative products, innovative projects, and feel free to reach out to me. And last but not the least, I think I should take this opportunity to thank CSMB and FSTI Mumbai chapter for giving me this opportunity to interact with you all and share my perspective on innovation. And I hope I've tried to, because there's a lot to innovation is a non-ending topic, never-ending topic. So I, whatever I could put together, I tried my best to cover most of it, and I hope you guys found it useful. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Gaurav. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashish. Before we go for our next round of session, that is like vote of thanks, I just want to take this opportunity as we are all connected. Any participant, if you have got some questions for Mr. Ashish, please feel free to go on. I can see one question typed in the chat. I'll just read it for you, Mr. Ashish. Can there can be sometimes product may be innovative and creative, but consumers may not exactly respond positively to it. So how does one one can match both consumer expectation and perception with the need to stand out and differentiate itself in the market?
Yeah. So the answer to this is in the if I don't know if still in control of the this thing.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
switch.
you can see. So the answer is here how you innovate. So when you are designing a concept or a product that for a consumer, the first thing you have to do is you have to do certain homework to identify whether there is a need for this kind of a product or not. Okay. So and how this is done, this is done via a very proven method or kind of a tool called as food innovation and product design, FIPD, what we call it in the industry. This is nothing but creating a product blueprint which takes into consideration the requirement in the market. So see, most of the innovation which are impulsive kind of like or kind of like जैसे कभी आइडिया आ गया और उसके ऊपर आपने काम चालू कर दिया विदाउट रियलाइजिंग और विदाउट गिविंग इट अ थॉट कि मार्केट में उसका जरूरत है भी या नहीं है, राइट? So those kind of innovations, they stuck in this particular dilemma ki I was spent, for example, 6 months, a year, I spent huge time, efforts, money, everything, and now I've created a very wonderful product, but no one is buying it. Thing is, at the first place, before starting, it is kind of like you are building a house or a bungalow without a blueprint. So आपने पूरा एक बंगलो बना दिया एंड देन यू रियलाइज कि यार ये डोर जो है ये डोर खुलता ही नहीं है, या ये डोर जो खुलता है वो दूसरी रूम में टकराता है ना? So all those problems or all those kind of observations, they would come if you have not given it a proper thought generally, like and second thing you have to like, even you no matter how much precaution you take and make sure that there is a consumer need, markets are unpredictable. The consumers, they will have their own choices, they will have their own preferences, and you cannot force anybody. So it is a inherent part of business, but that risk of you developing something and then consumer not liking it can be mitigated to a very great extent if you have proper market research, if you have proper consumer study at the beginning of innovation, and not after you kind of go to the wet lab or you would create the prototype, or in the worst case you launch the product and then realize.
Very appropriately put, Mr. Ashish. Uh, there is another question that we have got. What advice would you give to someone wanting to enter the field of food innovation?
So field of food innovation is a very broad term because and there are no professional food innovators, or there's no kind of like is kind of like a part of organization, and there's no kind of like there are few come this if this question is from student, there's this topic, the again on this slide you can see this food innovation and product design, FPID. There are certain colleges not in India but outside India who give you specific educations and training, 2 years course, 1 year courses in food innovation and product design. You can kind of like search for more resources. I'm also happy to help offline whoever has this question. But there's, your question is very broad, like how do we start with if somebody has to do in food innovation space. So if you want to be a food innovation expert, then obviously you have to kind of like study something like this, either a full-time course or maybe read the books, read the market. Reading market is more important, understanding the consumers is more important. Kind of like when you go to the D-marts or big bazaars or Reliance stores, you try to identify the problems. Having an eye for problem is another important thing if you have to be in the innovation business. Having a sense of market, like having kind of like for example, if like um, lactose free milk is there for it, so you should be knowing like how much the size of that market is. Although they say that 50% of Indians are lactose intolerant, but how many people are buying lactose free milk? So if you go and keep innovating on that, at the end of you realize there's no demand. So my point is like you have to have the or develop the ability to think 360-degree. So if you are a student, you are from food technology, so just don't constrain yourself to the science and technology behind it. Also kind of like understand the perspective from a marketeer, how he would look at things, from the consumer, from the supply chain, from the vendors. Every angle you have to think. And then if you have this kind of mindset developed, I think then you would obviously tend to go towards or succeed in food innovation.
Agree. Thank you. Thanks for that response. There is one question from Arya. Uh, it is always believed that the innovation should walk with sustainability. What can an innovator do to ensure both?
The innovation and sustainability these days has two meanings. One, for me, it has two meanings. One is the sustainable business, and another is sustainability from environment perspective.
Right.
So I'm not sure which sustainability is being said here. I presume it to be both. I'll answer from both the angles. So for innovation and sustainability to go together, again the answer is here in the food innovation and product design thing. Like when you are designing a solution or when you are designing an innovation, you have to make sure that whatever solution you are adapting has it has to be environment friendly, if you're talking about environment this thing. And if you're talking about a business, you have to make sure it consumes less resources, requires is kind of like optimal on your pockets, it is kind of like feasible, viable to make it, to scale it. Then it will become sustainable from the business perspective.
Any other questions from participants? Okay, if not, then Mr. Ashish, I would really want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule, coming here and explaining us the entire concept of innovation. It seems that throughout the presentation, by way of sharing some real life examples, it is evident that you have got your passion, truly embedded in the roadmap of innovation, and you have explained lot many things, right from product, process, technology innovations till how to market it with some kind of great ideation. So we really enjoyed it a lot. It's indeed insightful and inspirational talk that you delivered. So we express our heartfelt thanks to you. Thank you so much once again. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank each participant to come online and remain engaged throughout the session, and also would like to thank as I conclude the session to AFSTI and CSAMB for partnering for such learning initiatives, and that's all what we have for you all today. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav.
Thank you.